Second tip for those of you building your media and marketing platform online via a digital presence in order to sell your book to a major publisher or agent. Something that I have seen so much, and I guess it's not intuitive, and this is why so many people make this mistake. If you have any mention of your book and it hasn't sold yet, as in you do not have a signed book contract with a publisher, and I don't care if you have an agent already, you do not announce that you have been working on a book, trying to sell a book, seeking representation for a book on your website until it has sold, okay? So take that off your website right now. This is a major one for memoir writers particularly. I was recently researching and I found a memoir writer who has been trying to sell her book for 8 years, and she has this listed on her website. Now, this is not going to help you to get a book deal, and this gives the opposite impression to what you want. You want agents and editors and publishers to think that what you have to offer is fresh, new, much sought after, the next big thing. Okay, if you have that you are trying to sell your book on your website, it's the opposite to social proof. Social proof is basically when you see authors who have bylines in the New York Times, for example, they might put on their Twitter bio, or X, whatever it's called now, as seen in the New York Times, or bylines in New York Times, Washington Post, WAPO, all of that sort of thing. By saying seeking representation or trying to sell my book or working on a book, there's actually a publishing term which is called taking the pith, P-I-T-H. It refers to scooping out all the energy from something before you have actually even, all the juice, all of the nourishing, vital, exciting stuff before you've even had a chance to get excited about it. So it will have the opposite effect to what you would think. So if you think about who is going to land on your website or your social media bio, you want them to get the impression, truthfully, of course, that you are in the know about your topic of expertise or the topic that you've written about or the book that you have written about, which you are an expert in that area. But if you have on your website that you are trying to sell or seeking representation or working on your book proposal or you just don't want people asking any questions about this book until it has sold. So take that off your website, because any mention of a book that you haven't sold is going to have the opposite effect. It will make them think, why hasn't it sold? See what I mean? It is the opposite effect to what you're after. The other thing about saying I am seeking representation for, or I am looking for an agent for, or I am working on a book about blah, is people think, oh, okay, well, she's just off in the writing cave, or she's off doing this project, I won't bother her. People won't want to contact you or think that you're available or anything like that. So what you want to replace that with is your best byline or your best piece of writing or your best accolade or your best media clip or link to something that you have had publicity for, okay? Because this will do the opposite. This acts as social proof. It's all about psychology. Marketing is all about psychology. This will give people the impression that you are an expert in what you are writing about, and will make them want to contact you to know more about it, or to see if they can get a story on that, or to see if you might give them a quote for their media article on this. So that is going to grow your platform, your media and marketing platform, much better than saying my agent is blah blah blah. This is another one. If you have recently landed an agent, amazing, that is an incredible achievement, but do not announce your agent until they have sold the book. Wait until you have a book offer of publication in your hand before you announce your literary agent. Okay, this is a big one. I was speaking to a literary agent in Europe about 3 weeks ago, and he was saying to me that he's heartbroken in advance when authors do this, and it's exciting and it's nice to say something like, oh, I'm so excited, I'm now represented by blah, 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 but can have the opposite effect to what you are hoping for. So wait until you have sold the book, wait until you have signed the contract, wait until you have a book offer of publication in your hand before you announce your literary agent. I did this with a letter from Paris. I didn't tell anyone that Curtis Brown was representing me, except for family and friends. Didn't put anything on any website or social material, because by that stage, if an agent is representing you, you have enough digital presence to actually warrant a book deal. An agent wouldn't represent you if they didn't think that they could get you a book deal, okay? So you just have to hold off on that. I can give you so many examples of how this has had a negative effect on an author when they've announced their agent way before a deal has even been offered or the book has even been sent out on proposal. And the worst one I can think of is when her agent actually died. And so she used up all of that enthusiasm in excitement, and then she was back starting from scratch again. And people were asking her, this is the heartbreaking bit, people were still asking her way after the agent had died and she was back to square one, what was happening with her book, who'd bought it, all that sort of thing. So hold off, less is more. Do not announce your agent until they have actually sold the book. I don't care what other people say about this. This is what you need to do. So take any mention of shopping a book or trying to sell a book off your website, and don't announce your agent or your representation until you have sold the book. So what you want to replace that with is your best byline or your best piece of writing or your best accolade or your best media clip or link to something that you have had publicity for. This acts as social proof. One exception to this rule, if you're not explicitly mentioning the book on your website, you could say represented by literary, but you do not want to mention the book that they are representing. You just don't want people asking any questions about this book until it has sold. Save up the excitement for that. That is when you need to start the real marketing and the pre-launch strategy and the enthusiasm, okay? But don't take the pith out of everything before it has sold. So wait until you have sold the book. Wait until you have signed the contract. Wait until you have a book offer of publication in your hand before you announce your literary agent.